It's just a quarter past the top of the hour here in New York City. We're in Midtown Manhattan, coming to you live from the Newsmax headquarters. And down at the New York Stock Exchange, right downtown, the Dow Jones is treading water, up about $80. But not a banner day for the markets. I thought there might be some bounce back today, but it's the dog days of summer, the end of August. Long weekends are abound. Thursdays is getaway day. Fridays, nobody's around but the clerk's day. So you may see more selling into the end of the month. The markets will trade thin. And Frankie, the market is just not having a bounce back like I had hoped.
Well, look, I can understand what you're saying about August usually being volatile and the third quarter always being volatile, but this inverted yield curve has a lot of people concerned. These tariffs have some people concerned. The European central banks doing whatever they can to essentially they're charging you to put money in the bank, as you've been talking about. That's got a lot of people concerned, and the global slowdown has a lot of people concerned. Something that is of no concern to me, though, is anytime we get the opportunity to talk with John Gibson. You know, a lot of people have been saying, what can Newsmax do to get to the level of an MSNBC or a Fox News channel, right? And what those networks did, both of those networks did when they first launched, and I think this was maybe the one mistake Newsmax made when it launched, is they both had John Gibson on the air as part of their daily
That's
lineup.
right.
And so we're trying to capture a little of that John Gibson magic.
The mojo.
Folks may remember him as the host of The Big Story. They may remember him as a syndicated radio talk show host. And he may or may not be able to hear me right now. John, do we have you?
Do we have John?
No, okay. Well,
we
that's
don't
all right.
have him yet. Okay.
That's all right.
You know, live television, these things happen. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. Every so often, we have a breakdown. And I'm the head chief in charge here, so all issues that go wrong are my fault.
That's
and
right.
I take full responsibility. And to daze and amuse our audiences, I'm going to sing a song now by A$AP Rocky. No, I'm not going to do that at all. It would only make whoever is watching tune out even faster. But yeah, I would like to hear from John Gibson because he's known around the country, a radio guy, TV guy, and all different, you know, political channels have turned to this guy to be one of their commentators. But we were going to talk about Fredogate with him.
Boy.
And, you know, it was reported earlier today that the New York Medical Examiner's Office had pointed out, or it was leaked out, that in Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy they found a broken hyoid bone. A hyoid is here in the neck. And it's often broken when someone is strangled or murdered. About 6% of the time it happens with suicides. But this just in, and I don't usually do the breaking news, Frankie does, but the New York City Medical Examiner's Office is also reporting, pending further information, that Chris Cuomo broke his hyoid bone in screaming at this heckler that he ran into in the Hamptons. And look, I'm all for a guy sticking up for his family, but when you're in the public eye, Frankie, this whole Fredo thing it's silly.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And look, I know a lot of people are still trying to wrap their heads around the Hickenlooper news, and Hickenlooper is leaving the door open towards running for the United States Senate from Colorado, which could be pretty interesting if that comes to pass. But I think Chris Cuomo's behavior was way out of control. And I know we're going to talk with Dr. Jeffrey Gardier in a couple of minutes about Epstein. And believe it or not, Dr. Gardier was actually the chief psychologist at the MCC, not at the time that Epstein expired, but previously to that. So he can give us some insight into what goes on when you're the chief psychologist at a prison and you have to determine whether someone is on suicide watch or not.
Well, I want to get into it with him because if you try to commit suicide, I would think you're going to be on suicide watch after that. Dr. Judy told us yesterday that's the #1 indicator that someone may try to commit suicide, is if they've tried it before.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm looking forward to asking Dr. Gardier What goes into that thought process? What are the operating procedures? What are the procedures and protocols in allowing someone off suicide watch? And if he's not on suicide watch, why is he alone? Why doesn't he have a bunkmate? Where was his bunkmate? And
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and I think they're saying we have John.
Oh, so we have John Gibson with us now, who's a regular podcaster. You can still hear him at johngibson.com. Hey, John, it's Frank Morano. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine now, Frank. Thanks.
Terrific. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, John.
We've been talking about Fredogate and Chris Cuomo's rather hysterical reaction to someone calling him the name of a fictional character. Did you have an opportunity to see this video, and what was your reaction?
Oh, yeah, you could hardly miss that thing, couldn't you? I mean, look, he totally freaked out. You know, I wasn't going to bring this up on my own, but Chris Plant, one of our favorite talk show guys at WMAL, brought it up, and I think maybe there's, could be something to it. You see these pictures of Chris Cuomo in the gym, and you start to wonder, are we witnessing an anabolic steroid freak out? Was this roid rage? Because the guy is really beefed up, and that was such an over-the-top reaction. I mean, I understand he's insulted and his kids are there and stuff. Anybody who's on TV on a regular basis kind of is subject to this. But there's something about Cuomo that I think people didn't know before. And now they have reason to wonder. So what are you doing in the gym there, Chris? Because you look pretty beefy. Is this a Mark McGuire deal we got going on here?
Well, John, the other thing we've been covering all morning long is what happened with the stock market yesterday. It was the worst day for the stock market all year. A lot of people saying this inverted yield curve is an indication of a future recession. Maybe it happens a year, maybe it happens in 20 months. In your view, if there's a recession by November of 2020, can President Trump still get reelected?
Yeah, I guess you can, but it's clear, there are people already cheering this on who, plan to run on the 3 R's, Russia, racist, and recession. You see this stuff going on in the Washington Post already. Ooh, we got a recession. This is really going to hurt Trump. I saw Janet Yellen interviewed somewhere and asked, are we going into a recession? She said no. There are some signs that worry her. But if you watch CNN and you watch MSNBC, they got the pom-poms out and they're cheering on, let's have a recession. As Bill Maher said, let's have a recession, that we could get rid of Trump on that. I think these guys would talk us into a recession if they had the power to do it.
Hey, John, this is John Tobacco. I've spent the last 25 years working on Wall Street and the capital markets. We see, like you said, these left-wing cheerleaders hoping for a recession. Right. And at the same time, when you look across the globe, you have European central banks basically charging people to deposit money in them. So when you look back at the Obama era, U.S. companies were trying to get their money out of the U.S. Now I feel like recession, nothing. European businesses are going to want to get their money into the U.S.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, look, that thing you're describing has been going on for a little while, hasn't it? And the U.S. has been nonetheless sort of roaring along. So if there's some ugliness going on in the bond market right now, look, John, the only thing I think is, I watch this and literally we went down a record amount and up a record amount within 2 days. And if you sit around and say the economy is the stock market, you're going to be standing on a window ledge one day and popping champagne the next day.
Well, I want to apologize to you for our technical difficulties, but I want to thank John Gibson for joining us for a liquid lunch. Hopefully, we can have you in for a real liquid lunch with us. But there's no doubt, and I've said it many times, stay calm, especially in the summer. There's a lot of volatility out there. Don't overreact. The market is not the entire economy, and our economy macros are doing real good. We're doing good right after this with Dr. Jeffrey Gardieri.